Every weekend, I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other. It's part of who I am. If you ride, you know what I mean. That's why I insure with Shannon's. They get it. They share our passion and give us the features riders want, like limited use cover and multi-vehicle discounts. Shannon's insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. Whatever you ride, ride with Shannon's.
Call 134646 for a quote.
Rare Spares has over 50,000 product lines and releases over 500 new products every year. Your local Rare Spares distributor has what you need when you need it. And as the only restoration company officially backed by Holden and Ford, we take our part in your project very seriously. Rare Spares, more than just a part in your project.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SRW TV, where tonight we are back with our Friday night delight of the Warren & Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series. I am, of course, one of your hosts here tonight, Hamish. Alongside me, as has not been the case the past couple of weeks, Peter Gretton. Peter, fantastic to have you back here tonight, mate. Fantastic to be back with you here tonight. In my opinion, we are the best commentary combination on SRW. That might ruffle some feathers, but excited to be back here with you. Excited to be back in SRW, and it's going to be a massive night of racing out here at Spielberg for the Redbull Ring.
Yeah, good evening, Hamish, and good evening to all the viewers. And yeah, that might ruffle a few feathers, especially because my comeback has been dog, you know what. But Red Bull Ring, what a week to come back. I'm not too sure about these GT3 and GTP cars, Hamish, but I really do like this track and how much curbs used and how often the cars cock that left or right side up.
Oh, mate, I mean, these GT3 cars, they're going to have to be ultra careful about these prototypes following them around here tonight. It's a very, very short circuit. It is a short run through this track for these cars. So don't expect that these prototypes will actually catch them fairly early. It will not be too far away from those prototypes really starting to get in onto the back of those GT3 cars. This track, of course, known for its Grand Prix history, being that it is a mainstay in the Formula One calendar nowadays. It used to be a mainstay back in the early 2000s as well, when it was back as the A1 ring. But this circuit is one of my favorites, one of my personal favorites to drive, one of my personal favorites to have in a series, no matter what car it is, whether it's supercars, prototypes, sports cars, open wheelers, whatever it is, it always produces absolutely fantastic racing. And I think this series especially is going to provide some phenomenal action for us here tonight.
Yeah, 100%. And the class battles that we've seen in the last few rounds that have gone by, Hamish, is that when they come across the GT3 class cars, it's probably about 2 or 3 times, I'm guessing probably 3 times, that the GTPs will have to get past them. And I do like it that it's generally in probably the last section of the race, so they're really battling hard for that P1, 2 or 3 or whatever position, but they're also having a battle traffic, so an extra added element of difficulty, and I like it. I love it.
Well, I think what's going to be really hairy tonight, because we know that those final 2 corners are one line. What's going to be really hairy is when those prototypes come through, not only to make an overtake on a regular lap, but when they go to make an overtake during the GT3's pit stop period, because we know how much death it can be when there's 2 cars of the same class trying to overtake and one of them's going into the pits and they're on the outside of the track. Imagine how bad it's going to be if there's a GTP wanting to come up the inside and they just suddenly get cut off by a GT3 car wanting to come into the lane.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to play out as well, and it's the guys are good, and they've raced enough around each other, you know, to know that sort of stuff now. So I think the drivers have to take a lot of that on their own consideration and on their own shoulders as well, and and just show us that they can do it.
Mate, we are well and truly into qualifying at the moment. GT3 is currently out on track. Just to give everyone an update on the lap times before we get any of the overlays up on screen for them. Aaron Schroeder currently sits in provisional pole position for the GT3s with a time of 1:29.73, the exact same time that John O'Kiley just set on his previous last lap. So he's actually gone and matched Aaron, but because Aaron said it first, he gets pole position at the current time. Alexander Gododis currently sits P3 with a time of 1:30.10. He's not too far ahead of Alan Dawson in P4. We finally have some more Mercs on track, Peter. And Harry Dodds is not the lone AMG soldier out there with Alan and Jack on track with him. Alan's done a 1:30.34. Then Greg Barber makes up the top 5 in his Porsche, 1:30.35. So these times are super close, and I expect them to get even faster as we come through at the end of this qualifying session for them.
And that's another great thing, and that we've seen also, the times are close, and just about every series we see here on SRW TV, it's the battle of the tenths and hundredths, and again, there's not much of a field spread, although the faster times haven't come in yet, but good to see a couple of Mercs out there, mate. I love the sound of them. They're no Macca or Caddy, but they sound just as good.
Oh, mate, they are absolutely exceptional. Whenever I commentate with vets, they run the BMW AMG as the safety car. So whenever we get a safety car on track, I always sit in gearbox cam, get the full noise of that V8 going. Absolutely phenomenal. This car here, the Porsche, probably one of the strongest in the field in terms of GT cars. It is super, super pacey. It can be quite hard to control sometimes depending on the track, but in the right hands, this car is absolutely deadly.
Oh yeah, and it's a tricky car to drive as well. Some people say it's easy, Hamish. I can't drive a Porsche. I love Porsches. I love the shape, everything about them, but I can't drive them. I don't know what it is about I can't drive anything really, to be fair, but I really do struggle in Porsches. I'm not too sure what that is, and you may be able to let me know exactly what do you reckon the difference is. The Porsche makes it a little bit harder.
Well, I mean, I know that sometimes certain tracks don't really lend themselves well to those mid to rear engine cars. Porsches, they're a short wheelbase, they're rear engine, they can be really feisty when they're not in the right hands, and they can be quite hard to control some slides that are happening because all that weight is at the back and there's a lot of downforce on the back. It wants to bite, and whenever you get a little bit of snap oversteer, the car just then wants to shoot out if you can't control it correctly. So that's what people find can be a real struggle, trying to get these cars up to pace, and there are people who struggle to even drive the Cup car variant as well, myself included, because I'm much more of a preference of a front engine car like the supercar or the BMW GT3, for example. Big news as well coming in next season, Peter. Most likely we're going to be seeing a brand new GT car come into iRacing. It's most likely going to be the new version of the Audi GT3 car. It's going to be absolutely massive to have an Audi back in the field and a modern day Audi as well. And then all we need for an updated version of a car is the McLaren. So it's going to be exciting to see what else they come up with for next season.
2024 is going to be a massive year. I can feel it for iRacing. Tracks, cars and content, and yeah, Audis. How good's that going to be to have them there? Gnotis, he still holds that time of 29.7, 29.728, only 200s. There we go. So shot it to the top now, 29.6. Greg Barber, and I noticed there's another driver, Jamie Christensen, still yet to put a lap down, which is surprising. He's had a couple of goes at it.
Yeah, he seems to be struggling here to keep this car on the tarmac. We saw him run wide starting, I believe, this lap or the last lap, so he's just struggling to get the times down. John O'Carley, though, goes to the top of the timesheet, 1 minute 29.67. Had a lot of history commentating Jono's races. He used to be a part of the vets, and now he's kind of gone back into GT driving. He originally started here in GT driving, and he's proving why he is a real strong contender in these cars. It'll be very interesting to see how he can go next season. Of course, he hasn't been here all season, but it'll be good to see how he can go when we next start up the IMSA series once again.
Yeah, hopefully all these drivers return for the series or the next series or next year, as that's Ganota's just looping it there, getting it out of his system. But we've still got, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 rounds to go here in the championship, although I didn't add it for us to have a look at, Hamish. They're really close in both classes.
Yeah, mate. You know, we've had multiple winners from each class this season. It's not really been one or more. It's not really been one driver that's just been dominating at this point. Greg Barber's currently in the hot seat to win that GT3 championship. His teammate Adam Simpson actually gave him the win last week because he knew that Greg was in a stronger hope of actually winning that title. So he's currently in the hot seat to win that one. And I'm not 100% sure about who is leading the GTPs at the moment. I might double check that whilst we're finishing up the GT3 field here for qualifying. But it's incredibly close, and it's going to be close for the last 2 rounds out at Daytona and out at Silverstone as well. Tonight's, though, it's going to be all about survival. This track has got a lot of sections on it where you can get caught up in the moment and you can lose the car easily. We're coming up to one of them now. It's technically classified as turn 4. We call it turn 3 because, well, there's just a bend in the straight, but it's turn 4 technically. This section of circuit, one of the hardest on the circuit. You can go too wide, but you can also very easily clip the rear end of someone and spin them round. So these drivers really need to be cautious of that spot, as well as down here, down at turn 6, because if you actually take the wrong line down here, you can end up running wide into the sand trap, or again, lose that rear end in some of these rear engine cars.
Yeah, and it's awesome for us to watch them when they don't get it right, and they're the exact 2 spots that I can't nail. Turn 4, or I call it turn 1, but turn 4, as you rightly pointed out, that is really tricky. And iRacing, I don't know if it's just me, or iRacing's pretty harsh on the extension of the track on the exit there at turn 4. Yeah,
well, you can go off the curb slightly on the entry, but it's the curb on exit that you can get that off track on. You see there, these drivers going onto the AstroTurf. That's about as far out as you can go before getting an off track. And then again, Ganotis not wanting to go any further out than he did just then, because you will cop another off track and your lap will be cancelled. So these drivers, though, they've only got about 30 seconds of qualifying left, Peter. And if they haven't already started a lap, they'll be hoping to cross the line before the end of their 15 minutes so they can get another lap in I'm not sure here if Dawson's going to be able to do it. He might be just too far away from that start-finish line, but he definitely finished this lap that he's on.
Yeah, he's got about 15 seconds to do it. It's going to be terribly close, but I still don't think he will. But his best time so far is a 1:30.34, and that was his last lap round. I think Ganotis is having another crack. Oh, he's got 2 oranges. So he's 29.7, so he's still a 29.718, he's third. Kylie, though, with that time, or Keeley, sorry, mate, 29.671 in 6.89 for Shotter. So P1 and 2, super close in qualifying.
It's interesting. Shotter actually had the fastest time in the middle sector. Jamie Christensen, though, was actually the fastest in the first and the last sector, but was unable to actually get a lap set because he kept on getting off tracks. So he could have actually been the pole sitter, but he wasn't able to put a lap together to actually get round and put that lap through. But GTP's on track now. This is going to be about high paced, getting the cars up to grip, and really just setting those times as quick as they can. They will get quicker, though, across the session, Peter, as those tyres come up to grip and as the drivers get used to kind of following each other around for these next 15 minutes.
Yeah, GTPs now, and I like them. I like watching the first sort of couple of laps out, because we see it time and time again. You grab your teammates and you spend the time getting out there. Long runs in qualifying, I found, with the GTPs, because they've got to get in sync with each other, because you only probably get 1 or 2, possibly 3 shots as a team qualifying, and of course the guy at the front, he needs a shot at being at the back as well. So it's the way to do it. Get a draft, especially in some of the circuits we go to, but it's tricky to get done in qualifying to get the full value out of it.
We see here Crummy giving his teammate Chris Tomlin a bit of a tow here as they start their first time lap. The boys did mention to me they reckon they might get some screen time tonight, as Crummy loses it off the exit of turn 1, nearly hits the wall. Does well to stop himself on the grass there, and well, Crummy's gonna have to come in and get going once again.
Oh, he'll get stream time tonight if he keeps doing that. I tell you, we'll both enjoy poking a little bit of fun if he can do that. But Chop, he just buggered up his lap there, just went a little bit deep in that turn 4 we were just talking about.
So these drivers now, be interesting to see how they can go. We've already got some fast times coming in. Hasler does the fastest first sector, an 18.78. Fastest last sector, Dylan Shepherd, 25.26. He did that on the outlap. Hasler, though, goes best in the second sector, 34.48 that time by. So all these drivers, these times are coming in quick and fast, and Hasler's looking like he's ready to take provisional pole nice and early in this qualifying session.
He's really been onto it all season, hadn't he? The Frog League boys would be proud with his effort as the first time starting to come in now. But I've been watching Scott Hasler with the rounds that I have been in, Hamish, and he doesn't leave much out on the track. It'd be cool to get a word with him. Hopefully he finishes on the podium tonight and see just how much goes into it, because he's been something to watch this season.
Last time of him actually did not count. He must have copped an off-track. Current seedings as they stand. Michael Whiting, provisional pole position, 118.81. He's actually matched the time of Matthew Gerard in behind him with a 118.81 as well. So that's obviously going down to the 1,000th. Adam Simpson currently sits P3, 119.43. Shepherd, 120.37 is P4. And then old choppy Chris Tomlin, 121.34. A little bit off the pace, but we'll have to see what his lap times do as they get through this session.
I know Chop's done a lot of laps around Red Bull and a lot of laps in the GTP. Whether he can put it together here tonight. He can drive, 100%. He can drive. He can steer just fine, but just maybe a little bit inconsistent, and also lacks probably a little bit of luck in some of the rounds, and you definitely need luck at times.
So we can see here Ty Delaney, the young fella, trying to set his first lap here in the session. Hasler crosses the line. He goes pole position, 117.16. He bests Michael Whiting's best time by 0.02 of a second. He gets the best first 2 sectors out of him for his lap. But Ty, though, he'll be looking to make up for it, as well as Adam Simpson, currently P6 in the timing tower. These cars, I mean, they are so difficult to drive, but when you finally learn how to get the pace out of them the best. It just feels absolutely rapid as we go on board here with Simpson. They feel so rapid around these sorts of circuits, and I think this one, it may not appear. Oh, Simpson loses it on the curb. That's what you got to be careful of, that exit of turn one. We've already seen it happen to Crummy. These cars just get so undulated on those curbs, and we could be seeing a couple of spicy moments here tonight, Peter, thanks to that little section of track.
I'm 2 for 2 at the moment. It happened instantly as I think I went on board with Crummy and he lost it. The same spot. Did it to them. I'm not taking credit for it, but I will take credit for 2 for 2.
Well, Michael Whiting, we're on with him now for Fishy Motorsport, just kind of warming those tyres up, getting ready for another run. He'll be really pushing hard here to get back past Scott, if I can get the words out correctly. Currently he sits in P1. There's not much time between them. I mean, maybe he employs the efforts of his teammates to give him a bit of a tow if he's struggling a little bit too much to get that time in, but still a long way to go as he loses that rear end. May have overheated the tyres a little bit on this outlap, and as we head over to Dylan Shepherd, we'll see what he can do in the Porsche. The only Porsche currently out there for the GTPs.
Yeah, not a popular car, but he's definitely can handle it. P3 at the moment, 117.5. Whoa, I just added 20 seconds to your time, Dylan. Sorry, mate, but yeah, all the cars are getting a bit of love, but not as much as some. As it looks like. It looks like he might be onto one here. He looks smooth.
Let's see what he can get. He's already bettered his previous best in the first sector. What does he do as he crosses to come into the third? He goes orange, so it means he's either matched or he's slightly worse in that middle sector. He's currently P3, so he's positioned pretty well. Not much time to be gained to get into P1, only about 0.35 of a second as he pulls the car up, so he's obviously not happy with that run.
Yeah, well, and you got to learn pretty quickly if the car feels off to get out of your lap, and he did that. You mentioned the heating the tyres on your warm-up lap. Can you feel them fall off, Hamish, if you have overheated them in your warm-up lap? I know understand it'd be difficult because you're not going full speed.
You kind of can. So if you're warming them up over the course of the first half of your lap, and then you start to push to come in onto your flying lap, you can kind of feel them slip a little bit. It really just comes down to how comfortable you are in the car and how your setup works out as well. Sometimes it's best just to take a bit of a slower out lap and then push on your flyer. You can actually gain about half a second just by going a bit slower on the out lap and a bit more cautious on the tyres. If you overheat them too much, they can really start to overly scrub, and then that's what can actually lead to the loss of grip. So that's what these drivers are going to have to be careful of, and they really need to kind of figure out how they can best feel those tyres wearing away. If they got a direct drive, perfect. They should be able to feel it pretty easily. If you've got a belt-driven wheel, it's a bit harder. So it's all going to come down to how much knowledge and sort of time they've had in the car and learning the sort of tricks of the trade.
Yeah, well, that will be on display today, and yeah, so that answered that, and also Grotch answered the call. He's jumped up to the top with a 17.0, almost in the sixes. Hasler and Whiting are still in the 17.1. So Hasler and Whiting, I don't know if they're as shocked as I am, but Grotch, he give him a tenth to now chase.
I mean, he's been the pace setter all season pretty much. Him and Scott have both been setting down absolutely rapid times. I actually thought we'd see more caddies out there than we currently are, because this is a real straight line speed sort of a circuit. Obviously not as much straight line speed as needed as Le Mans was, where we saw the majority of the field was in caddies, but certainly not as many as what I expected to see here tonight, but still a fair amount. Only got two Beamers out there, Jake Edwards, Jordan Ferguson, and then the one Porsche with Dylan Shepherd, and then three Acuras out there as well, including Ty Delaney, Adam Simpson, and then Matt Gerard is also running out there in it as well. So there's a good little spread of the cars. Every single one is being represented in some shape or form here tonight for the GTPs. So it'll be good to see which one will work out best for some of these drivers. And maybe if that straight line pace is actually going to be a hindrance to those caddies trying to get the power down out of turn one and just kind of losing it on that curb, as we've already seen Adam Simpson did.
And funny you bring that up too. In the GT3s, the top 3 are all Fezzes, and the top 3 are all caddies in the GTP. So there's definitely a type of car suited to the tracks that we've been going to. But because, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe it's always been them 2 cars at each track, but there has been groupings of others.
I believe Watkins, the Fez, was pretty strong. And I think that just came down to the back straight coming up towards the bus stop. And I think the caddy was pretty strong there as well. Those kind of small technical circuits, they're the ones you can really see the Porsche come into play. Even though we did see that happen at Sebring as well, which is obviously a lot of straight line speed. But the majority of the circuit is downforce driven. So you really only get the bonus of the straight line speed down those 2 straights. Everywhere else, it's better to have more grip than it is to have more straight line speed, which is why we saw the benefit of the Porsche at that track. So it really just comes down to track type. I think Daytona, we're going to see the benefit of the Cadillac again, just based on the bowl and the straight coming up to the bus stop. It's going to be the same for the Fez. Silverstone, I think, will actually suit more the Porsche in the GT3s and maybe the Acura in the GTPs, just because of the grip that's needed as Whiting loses it off the exit of the final corner. And as I mentioned, that power, I think it's just getting applied that little bit too fast, and that's what you really got to be careful of. So I think, next 2 rounds, I think the next round out at Daytona, I think will be dominated by that Caddy and by that Fez, but the final round, I think, is going to be the Porsche and the Acura are going to be the cars to be in.
Yes, so it will be interesting. I'm not too sure if you're allowed to change cars. I wonder if anyone is following the pattern. That who knows. Brendan Grotch, though, his time's set in cement. I think the top 3 are now with only 3.5 minutes to go. Hamish 17-0, 17-1, 17-1 with bugger all in it, and you got a couple more drivers in there. Edwards, who we were just watching before, he's only 3/10 off the 4/10 off pole position, 17-4. So all top 8 anyway are in the 17s. So that's going to be really competitive for these guys, but no surprises. That's what we've seen all season.
Yeah, mate, super tight. Just quickly here, we got a couple of comments in the chat here tonight. Dougie Gowan's in the stream chat saying, go Matty Gerard, cheering for you, mate. Tyson McAvoy saying, heard the best RC is in the house. Kurt Wright asks, saying, old mate struggling to talk here. I'm not sure who you're talking about, Kurt, but I'd like to see you give it a go as well, though, mate. And then Dougie Gowan saying, once again, looking forward to the race. Good track tonight. And then Mr. Coleman getting in there saying g'day to us too. So welcome all, and be sure to get into the chat tonight, everyone, because it'd be great to have a chat throughout this race and get what your thoughts are on this circuit and what these cars can do around here. It's going to be a really, really fun night of racing, I think.
Yeah, it is, and don't forget there's only about 30, I think, 30 more subs needed for SRW to give away this beast of a rig as well. So if you haven't already subbed, go check out the SRW YouTube page. Obviously, if you're on there now, just have a look down. If it's subbed, thanks. If it's not, hit that button, and if you do, well, you automatically go in the draw to win this. $1,800, mate. So it's no chump change.
Well, I mean, just from personal, we got Miles in the chat. Hello, Miles. Great to have you in here, mate. Shame you're not racing in this series. Hopefully you come in for next season. I know Miles for quite a few years. What I was going to say was, I know from personal experience, Gmail lets you have about 10 email accounts set to the same phone number. That's 10 entries that you can make yourself into this series. So, if you're willing to go and make yourself 10 emails through Gmail, then you subscribe with all of them. That's 10 possible winners that you've got yourself for an $1,800 rig. And, 10 entries or 8 entries out of 1,000 is better than 1 or better than none as well. So I think it'll be good.
I've just added that in my to-do list. Matthew Gerard, I think he got a bit of love, didn't he, in the comments. I could have got that wrong, but he's doing pretty good. 1:17.8, a little bit off the pace of the leader, but he's going to have a couple of drivers like Simpson and Delaney and all that if they hold qualifying pace through the race to battle with.
Well, it's interesting, Pete. All 3 of the Acuras are separated at the moment by 1/10 of a second. That is how close their pace is. All 3 of them are within 1/10 of a second. Absolutely crazy.
Grotch, Hasler and Whiting as well. 3 cool, calm, where's this? Not so cool, calm, but they're cool, calm, collected drivers. Strategy, that'll come into play, and them top 3 drivers also nail that. And talk us through strategy a bit. Well, we just go down the last, 10 seconds of qualifying. You might as well say that the positions are almost set as we watch a couple of these drivers. But strategy here tonight, 2 stops going to, 2 stops, I think. What I've sort of, I might as well say, guesstimated.
Yeah, I would say if it's going to be 2 stops here tonight, I would say it may only be 1 stop for the GT3s. It depends on what the fuel numbers are like. But if it's 2 stops, depending if we get a safety car or not, and depending if those 2 stops are under compulsory rules. So, depending on what their compulsory rules are, then you can take advantage of certain things. So, if there's no compulsory rules on the pit stops, you can pit whenever you want. Then it might be to your benefit if there's a safety car lap 1 just to come in and top the car up with fuel. If there's compulsories in and say you can't pit until after lap 3, for example, it's still good to come in lap 1 under safety car because it's actually going to cut down the amount of time that you need to pit in your 2 compulsories. And if you're at the back of the field, well, you may as well do it because you're not going to lose anything. So I would say split your fuel down the middle because sometimes what can happen is your fuel burn can actually change across the race. So say you've planned for 3.5 litres per lap and say you need 165 litres total and you're starting with 50. Well, that's a 58 litre split. Both your stops will be 58 litres. So if you come in on your first stop, you top it up with 58 litres. By the time you actually come around for your second stop, if your fuel burn's actually changed, then you actually made a little bit less in the car. So that's kind of the easiest way to kind of do it. It's better than putting full fuel in the car because your car can actually be a bit slower with the more fuel that's got in it. That halving it is just a nice even spread to get a consistent lap time across the whole race.
Awesome. Yeah, that's going to be good to watch and play out. I always love watching strategies play out as we get set for a race start. Qualifying's just wrapping up. We're just waiting for the results to come in. I think the first pressure situation we're going to put ourselves into is that turn 4. I'm going to keep calling it turn 1 or 2. So that corner is. They really got to have their eyes on to get in there. But if we're going to have an early safety car, and it has been happening in the past, I think there's going to be the place as the grid is set to come up as it's a rolling start. So I don't need that camera. And with 1/10 in between the top 3, these GTPs, Brendan Grotch and Hasler, they find themselves start out of row 1. Whiting and Edwards out of row 2. Shepherd and Gerard out of row 3. Adam Simpson and Ty Delaney, they've been battling hard all season. They'll start out of row 4. And to round out the top 10 in GTPs, Luke Crum and Chris Miller. Shane Newens was down there as well, and Ferguson, as they'll wrap up the GTPs. And I think that's it. Yeah, and we'll go to GT3. Hamish.
We should have Chop as well in there, as well as Ash Davis, Keegan Caldwell, Cam Hardwick. They should all be involved too. There we go.
Needed a boot.
Yeah. But we come into the GT3s now. John O'Kiley got that pole position in the GT3s, just ahead of Aaron Schroeder in behind him there. Alexander Ganotis will start in behind them in the 3rd Ferrari in a row. Then we got Greg Barber separating some of those fezzes out of P4 in class. Patrick Frame will start at a P5 in class with Harry Dodd starting out of P6. Sean Benici back here this week. Last week he was a bit ill, but he's back here this week. Our resident American out of I believe it's P7. We got Jack Pickett out of P8. Callan Hodgson P9. Alan Dawson out of P10. Then we got Brandon O'Loughlin, Marty Mitchell, Jamie Christensen, Ben Faulkner, Steve Singovich making up the rest of the grid. Big thank you as well to our race controllers here tonight. Tyson McAvoy in the session for us. So let's get ready to go racing here around Red Bull Ring. I'm excited. It's going to be phenomenal action here tonight, Pete. And let's just hope and pray that they take turn 1 and 2. We'll call it turn 1 and 2, those first 2 hairpins, nice and easy on these opening few laps, because we could see a safety car very early if they don't.
Yep, and it's a rolling start, as it has been throughout this whole season. Remember, it's a Shadow Series, so it's rolling start there, it's rolling start here, and yeah, I've got everything crossed, just based on that, mate. I've got everything crossed that we get a clean start, because this track really does love battling, and 2, 3, 4 wide at times in the race, because the racetrack is fairly wide. And yeah, so I'm hoping that we can stay clean and close for this duration.
Quickly as well, Jordan Ferguson starting out of pit lane here tonight. I don't know if Cam Harwick, Keegan Caldwell and Ash Davis are in the session or not, but we will find out. But Ferguson definitely starting from the pits.
Yeah, possibly that's a penalty from last week, but we're just about set here to go, mate.
Let's get ready to go racing. We go green flag as the GTPs cross the line. A huge run up towards turn number 1 here tonight. How are they going to go through here? Hopefully nice and tidy as we enter through. Grotch has the lead to Hasler. Little bit of a wiggle there from some of these cars as they enter through. They look nice and tidy. They look pretty good so far. Let's see these GT3s though, Peter, and see how they go up towards turn 1.
Yeah, John Keeley and Shotter. They've gone early. They're going to chase down. Oh, we've already got a spinner. We've got a Frog Leap Juice car across the nose.
Massive contact.
Big crash.
Big crash on the straight. Adam Simpson as well, I think, has also been involved in an incident up in the GTP field. He's down 5 spots. That was a massive incident very early on. Harry Dodds, Greg Barber, Jamie Christensen, Jack Pickett, Marty Mitchell, they've all been involved in that. So big championship implications at the moment, Peter, being that Barber and Dodds both involved in that lap 1 incident.
Yeah, the timing tower's moving around everywhere, and I don't know what's happening exactly, but we'll get some replay. Scott Hasler, Edwards, Grotch, and there's a move, Gerard and Shepherd in the background, or Shepherd has had a bit of a mishap.
Let's see here if we can get the gain up on screen, just so we can see any changes on that grid, Peter, just so we can see who may have dropped, who may have gained through this. Ben Faulkner currently up the most positions in this race. He's currently up 12 off this race start, currently sits P18 overall.
Yeah, good start for him. Good start for all the drivers as well. I don't know if we're on the safety car here. I think we are because we're slow. Or is it just me?
I believe Tyson is out on track, so I believe we are under safety car. Yes, we are. So Promo Department safety car out on track here tonight. The beautiful Macca on track for us. And, well, we haven't even lasted we've lasted about a lap until we've gotten a safety car. Not really surprising that it was that early off the start, but I thought maybe we might make it to turn 1, but those GT3s, they just weren't quite able to do it.
Yeah, let's have a look. This is the first incident come up. That's Keeley. As I don't know why it's come up to... So it's just stopping. Oh, it hadn't even started yet, mate.
Yeah, we're currently on quarter speed at the moment, so we can see though this was them, I believe, after the incident. That was like the top 6 cars that actually survived that incident. So I know that Barber was involved. He's currently in the pit lane, as well as Christensen. Ferguson is out on track, although he is a lap down, so he was late to the start. Pickett's back out there. Mitchell's still in the pits. Dodd's still in the pits as well. I believe it is official that Davis, Hardwick and Caldwell were unable to make the start of this race, so we are down 3 GTPs here tonight.
Here we go. So this is Chris Miller's one of the first incidents. I'm not too sure if I've picked this one up correctly or not, but we'll ride with it anyway.
Oh, it just looked a little bit slow through there.
Yeah, and then there's a big check up. I'm not too sure if that was a bit of a fail on my end. Or the, I don't know what happened there. Let's go have a look at the GT3s anyway.
So we can see them here coming around the final corner to start their lap. Let's see what, oh, you see there was the contact between the Merc of Dodds and Barber off the start and just caused an absolute concertina between these other cars up the back. Nowhere to go, and I think Harry might be copping himself a penalty for that one just quietly, but that'll be left in race control's hands. We have had Dougie Gowan saying surging a concertina, the GT3 start perhaps. I think that's exactly right, Dougie. It's just a tough start, and yeah, a bit of overlap and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, and it was a little bit of a weird one too, because they both went off the track, bounced off the wall, because at that section of the track the wall's pretty close. And it was good to see the rear of field. They pulled out of that and went around, but a couple of unlucky drivers, as we just see wave arounds happening. So that was that was Red Porsche, I think, that was involved. So thinking his lucky stars. He gets his lap back.
So I think Ferguson should also get his lap back here if he gets to the end of the field, being that he started out of the pits, which I believe he has already gotten it back. My timing was a little bit off there, so he is now back. He should have his lap back. He should be at the back of that GTP field, which he is, which is good to see. But yeah, so Dodds, Mitchell, Barber, all a lap down. I don't know if Dodds will actually get the lap back since he caused the incident. But that's going to be up to race control whether he gets it or not. Fat Jackal's in the chat asking if he can pet that dog. Well, if we find one on track, we'll leave it out for you to give it a bit of a pat, Jackals. But hopefully there's no dogs around this circuit because it's getting into a bit of a dogfight between some of these cars, especially off that race start. So I think it's time the drivers take a bit of a breath, Peter, and just kind of calm it down a little bit because we've been racing for 5 minutes and we've been under safety car for about 4 of them.
Yeah, well, we don't like to see that, do we? We don't like to see lots of this safety car used, but I did have everything crossed and it didn't work. It didn't work, but the GTPs look like they got away. I'm still trying to find that incident with the GTPs, Hamish, but the GT3s, well, hopefully they can get it right. Take 2 of the race with, maybe 6-8 minutes shorter when we go again.
I think Simpson may have just gone off track. That might have been why he dropped so many spots. He hasn't been through the lane, so I doubt he actually hit the wall. I think maybe just a bit of a wide run at some point. That's what made him drop those spots down to the back of that field. But he's back up into P10, only 3 spots down from where he started this race as the safety car's starting to pull away. So we're going to get ready to go racing again, Peter, and hopefully we can last more than a lap, or at least in the GT3 case, last up to the start line. To be able to go racing here tonight.
Oh, it'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be great. But racing's racing. And involves out there, I'll tell you, all the cars would have been gone. But Hasler, Edwards, he's had good gains. Grotch, he dropped a couple of positions. We'll go through that once we get started again. But hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come. Safety cars, dare I say it, do breed safety cars, Hamish, but I'm sure these guys want to race just as much as we want to watch them.
Yeah, mate, well, we're going to come around the final 2 corners to get ready for this restart. Those GT3s should have given a bit of space up to the GTP cars on board. Looking at Michael Whiting at the moment. You know these fishy boys, we want to get in a win for Eddie this week. And I spoke to a couple of them over the weekend and they're hungry to get some wins, but we're ready to go racing once again. Green flag as we cross the line. They look pretty neat and tidy coming down towards turn 1. Let's see how they go up through this corner. Need to watch that curve. The car's already gone round. It's Brandon Grotch.
Oh, and there's another car.
That was crummy.
Yeah, so
both cars off the track.
The GT3s missed their start just quietly, but they looks like they've got off to a pretty...
Up at turn 2. And Pete, it's just going off tonight. It is going off.
Oh, okay. Let's see what race control do. What do you let them go for it, or do you jump back under safety car? I'm not too sure, because there's sometimes you can just let them go for it, can't you, Hamish, when we have nights like this? But the field definitely looks like it's slowing. Oh no, it's not.
Yeah, I think they're just going to be better off just kind of letting them sit with it at the moment. You know, get kind of ready for this sort of action. One of the GT3s has gone wide there at the exit of that corner, as we just saw. How do these GTPs go? Tomlin currently sits at the rear end of this train. He's trying to get back up to speed at the moment.
Trying to find a group of GTPs. That's what I'm trying to do.
We got a little one here between Gerard, Whiting, and Edwards. This is the battle.
Yeah, they've spread out these GTPs, haven't they? The top 5: Hasler, Edwards, Whiting, Gerard, Shepherd. The battle here is not much going on, but the GT3s once again they're turning it on and getting left out as we see a GTP car starting to get through. But the battle, Gnotis and Frames having a bit of a red hot crack.
That's Grotch trying to get through, as well as Delaney. So both those boys have been held up through incidents. We saw Grotch go off the track turn 1. It was only a matter of time before one of these cars caught that curb incorrectly. Looking back now on those GTPs coming up past Dodds and stuff, and look at them just fly past down the inside of Ganotis and make it look easy, don't they, Peter?
Oh yeah, I wish their GT3 probably wish that they had their horsepower, but they're two smart drivers. They'll be able to get around and keep it clean as well. But a few things happening in the GTPs as we got a car around again.
That was Patrick Frame. We saw him just reverse onto the sand trap in the background there. Matty Gerard, he's the first GTP to come into the pits for a scheduled stop here tonight, so he'll get some fuel and tyres onto that car, and he'll be ready to keep on cracking on for the last half or 35 minutes that we got here to race here tonight.
Jamie Christensen working his way through. Braden O'Loughlin. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Did he go around there, Braden O'Loughlin?
I think he might have caught it. He just caught it before he hit the wall then, so he's still running. But there might have been slight contact, if not net code, that just kind of veered him across.
Let's have a look at just what happened.
And this is why it's so hard to go too wide through here. You know, that car just caught the curb. Oh, he didn't hit it. Oh, but the car almost self-healed. It was like the front end wanted to come off, but then it found its place again. But that's why it's so hard to go too wide through there, because number one, the Porsche wants to follow its line. And then secondly, that Fez on the inside caught the curb, pushing it out. They kind of sandwiched together, and that's what spun him round. So these boys really need to be careful about picking their spots and just being consistent and conservative when they want to get those overtakes made, because it's much easier to lose that car when going for an overtake at an inopportune time.
Yeah, it's all timing, isn't it? Them three guys have gone down in the pit lane. I think all three of them went down. But I'm all over the shop here tonight with, I'm not too sure if that's my timing having a hissy fit, Hamish, or if it's just what's happening, but finding it really hard to concentrate.
No, I think it's there might be a couple of drivers popping in and out maybe, but they're looking pretty good at the moment, I do believe. Simpson currently has a pretty consistent gap up ahead of him and behind him. He currently sits about 6.5 seconds, nearly 7 seconds behind Shepherd, and another 7 seconds is back to Luke Crum. So he's kind of out there on his own at the moment. We saw him, we didn't see him, but he did have a bit of an off track early on. He's up 2 spots from where he started this race, so he'll be hoping just to crack on now, try and keep the gap in behind and shorten that gap ahead as we go on with Patrick Frame, who we saw have to get that turnaround down there into the sand trap, so he'll just be trying to get back what he lost.
It's not an easy track to get back what you get lost either, as they go side by side. Who's going to yield first? Here's this corner that we talk about. Oh, both get through.
Beautiful. That was a beautiful overtake from him. That was very well done. As we got Ferguson coming up onto the back of them now. Actually, that car he's just gone past is actually lap traffic. That's Marty Mitchell, so Marty actually had to let him go because he had blue flags. But it was really well done between them. Marty didn't make it too hard. Patrick did a good job of showing us how to get an overtake done down there. And he'll be hoping to push on now to get back up onto the back of Braden O'Loughlin, who's about 4 seconds up the road. But on with Aaron Schotter now. He's doing pretty well in P2, Peter. He's got Kylie just ahead of him. Ganotis in behind, and then Faulkner trying to chase them down, being our other UK cohort out on track, with Jordan Ferguson also out there.
Yeah, lots of sparks going behind Ganotis as well. I'm not too sure what's to go there, but I just noticed these guys in the Fezzes are having a good crack, a red hot crack. But the Porsche, he's having a red hot crack as well.
Bit of a million driver. We'll be hoping to bring him in. We've got a nice little international flavour out there. 2 UK drivers, one of them based in Australia that I know of. Not sure if Ben is based here or not. And then Sean Benici, the US driver out there in the 099 BMW. But we can see here Faulkner trying to get this done. He's putting massive pressure on these top 3. And he is just really trying to fly that flag for Vermillion at the moment. He's got his teammate not too far behind, Jamie Christensen. But these boys are coming to the series and they're just trying to do as best they can against these Corsa Rosso and the Frog League boys as well.
30-second stop and hold for car 981. I'll work out who that is for contact 0 before the green flag as well.
That's Harry Dodds. So that was the Merc that we saw have the contact before the start-finish line.
Oh, we did say that was going to happen, and it has. It's Faulkner. He's having a good crack here with these guys with the fezzes. You can clearly see that the Ferraris are just a little bit quicker than the Porsche in spots, but looks like he's sticking with Ganotis though.
You can see here through these corners, he's got a lot of speed, Carry, doing very well to do that. He wanted to kind of line it up for that second to last corner, but he seems to be a smart driver. He's not forcing the move. He's being patient and just waiting for his moment. He's got a good run out of turn 1. Let's see if he can have the run up here towards turn 2 as they go 2 wide through the kinks. Ferguson makes it 3 wide as he separates the gap. Coming up through the field here. And let's see what can happen. Faulkner's gotten it done. He moves up into P3 in class. And he'll be hoping to chase down these top 2. Look at him go, Pete. Big battles happening at the moment for the lead of this GT3 field.
Yeah, and the GTP's stuck in the middle of the battle, and these guys, they don't care. They're battling for position. They don't want to let anything go, but Faulkner, he gets the job done, and next on the line is Kylie, and he's having a good battle with Shotter. So he's going to be liking what he sees out of his windscreen is Faulkner, because if these guys are battling, they're not racing at race pace. So watch for Faulkner to move up again as we're seeing more GTP cars filter through the field.
All we can see here comes Hasler. He makes his way round on board. We're here now with Christensen. There's Hasler. Gets it done before the final corner. He really did not want to have to be held up behind those guys. He's doing a very good job. Can we try and go on board with Faulkner here? I want to see his view that he's got right now of that 1-2 battle, because he's got that number 1 seat. He'll be eating the popcorn, and he'll be hoping these guys go for a move as he nearly runs into one of the GTPs in the background there. That was super close. Let's see what the run's like up towards turn 2, Pete. And this is the trouble with the traffic and how fast these cars can catch them. Took him about 10 minutes because he wants to make moves, but he needs to be careful those prototypes wanting to come past him.
And as a GT3 driver, you don't want to have that. I suppose it's the nature of the beast, but it just makes their job a lot harder. I don't know who's got the harder job, the GTP or the GT3, trying to get through or trying to be Sanders. Faulkner, he looks again. So Faulkner, he's... Oh, look at this.
The run that he's got there.
There he goes. So he's...
I think Kylie's just letting him have it, because he's now just going to want to slot him behind, watch where he breaks, and just see if he can get an advantage at any point across this lap.
Shotter's pulled away too in all this. I thought when Shotter and Kylie were battling that Faulkner would come up and get in and battle them both, but Shotter, he's up 8 positions for the night and starting to pull away, but that Porsche Faulkner is really starting to put the pressure back on him again. There's not much happening up in the GTPs, mate. There's a little battle with Michael Whiting, but I'm more hard-pressed to stay on the GT3s because they're closer together, but that's the closest battle on track with the GTPs.
Yeah, I mean, those GT3 drivers, they're super, super close. I honestly thought the prototypes might be a little bit closer, but I think due to the traffic and just trying to pick their way through as Brendan Grotch comes into the pits, I thought maybe we might be in for some better GTP battles, but I think this traffic's really starting to spread them out a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see anyway as the race progresses and the strategy plays out. We got Frog League juiced. Who was that?
That was Kylie. That was Kylie out of P3.
Oh no!
He just lost it on the curb. And once again, the curbs of death claim another victim here. You see, he just gassed it up right at the wrong moment.
He'd be dirty over that because that would be considered a soft lose, albeit they're hard cars to drive, and he is pushing 10 tenths, but he'd be dirty at himself in that. As the headlights are come on, Hamish, we're going to get a night finish.
Here we are, mate. We're going to get into the dark in this one. Just noticed as well, Christensen was also involved in that, so he was slowed up quite a fair bit, dropped a heap of spots. He's now down to P20 overall. So it's going to be tough running for him to get back up to where he was. Had a couple comments in the chat since we started looking at this battle. Dougie Gowan saying the cars look awesome at night, at twilight with the headlights on. Caleb Bellac saying Maddie's going to win, don't ask me how. Then we've got Maddie saying let's go CXR. Jack in the chat saying go Rapid Theft and Vermilion Motorsports. He then says this series is a joke. Well, why are you watching it then, Jack? And then Doug Gowan saying definitely harder for the GT3. So, which I can agree with Doug on that one. I think it can be tough as a GT3 driver, having to deal with going for overtakes, but then also letting cars past you that are faster. These GTP guys, they can easily make their way around, just by being patient. So I think it is a little bit harder, especially on a track like this, to be a GT3 driver out there. A place like Daytona, it's a little bit easier because there's a bit more of a spread.
We'll see that next week at Daytona, but these guys are still battling out. Dawson, he's fighting down or chasing down Ganotis. He's got a GTP car all in his mirrors. He gets a little bit loose as well. That's probably just mirror driving. But Faulkner's really putting the pressure. He's gone side by side and stuck it there with the GTP. He doesn't want to lose speed, but then he does the same with the next car, and he's gone. Shotter, that is, sorry. And Faulkner is leading the GT3s by the looks.
That was really smart driving from Faulkner there. He let the GTP do the work for him. He knew the GTP was going to want to try and get past Shotter. He just slotted in behind, made sure Shotter was out of the way, and then he just shot it up down there, pardon the pun, up towards that second to last corner. So that was very smart driving from him and a very professional manoeuvre. We'll have to see here, though, how this battle can go now that he's up front and whether Shotter can have a good run on him and really put that pressure on him here for the final 25 minutes.
25 minutes. It's gone quick, hasn't it? This race, but they're still battling. But I had everything crossed at the top of the broadcast that we would have cars on top of cars on top of cars, but we did that, and now they're spread out.
Hey, what though? There is a nice little battle happening at the moment. Crummy and Simpson, those guys separated by less than a second in that GTP field now. So you finally got a nice little battle happening. This is for P5 in the class and overall. So we go up in the blimp cam here. Crummy's done well ever since his loss out on I believe it was off the restart or off lap 1. So he's done well to make his way back up the field and wants to put the pressure on that Piranha ahead of him.
We'd probably be getting a little bit of that draft effect now, and I'll tell you, Crummy, when he makes a mistake like he did, he's dirty at himself. He's actually got a real good run out of there, and he's closed that gap just a little bit on Adam Simpson. So this will be a good battle to watch throughout the closing stages anyway, Hamish, because Crummy, he's got a target in front of him now, or carrot if you would.
Mate, you could just see how much he gained under brakes then. So I think following a car like that, when the car ahead of you is not in a tow, you can gain a heap of time under brakes, which we're going to see at the moment here. If we keep an eye on Dawson and Ganotis, you'll just see how much Dawson can actually gain under brakes, and it's because of that slipstream, as we mentioned. So, but what the problem is, though, you might gain when you're directly behind the car, but as we see him here go for a dive, backs out of it though, you actually don't get the same effect once you're out of that draft range. So it's good when you're in the draft to make up some time, but when you go for a dive bomb, you've really either got to make sure the car next to you is going to let you have it and brake a little bit earlier, but you've got to be really confident in your braking prowess to brake that a little bit later. Does he go for it up the inside? He does. Ganotis lets him have it. That was good driving from both of them there. Really good racecraft from both of them, and Ganotis is now going to keep the pressure on him as we come up towards turn number 5, 6. One of the hardest sections of this circuit, Peter.
Yeah, and just touching back to like making the pass done on when you're in the draft, that more to the point when you're in a group, if you're starting to get away, sometimes you're better off just staying behind, but not in this case. He thought he was quicker in front. So these guys are fighting hard, but they're using the draft, fairly effectively to try and get this catch back up to the leader.
Yeah, mate, they'll be working hard at the moment. They'll be working together. They'll be trying to kind of swap and change who's towing who around, and actually trying to just pull them up with them. You just need to be sure not to get into a battle. So I think that's what Gnotis doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to get into a battle. He wants to work with Dawson to move up towards Shota, and then hopefully work with his teammate Shota to get Dawson back behind him, and then work with Shota to move forward up to Faulkner. So there's a lot of games that can be played, and a lot of gamemanship that's needed when driving these cars, not just the GT3s, but the prototypes as well. So, you know, it's all about kind of teamwork, but even outside your team, you need a little bit of teamwork as well on track.
Yeah, knowing the race where it's at, and, you know, and that's what in series like this, it's also you can create sometimes. You know, we're a pretty tight knit group here, but you can create. You know, you have a few mistakes in few rounds, and you create a little bit of banter and a tit for tat, sort of, if you will, with some of the drivers. So there's some drivers where you're going to work with, and there's some drivers where you're sort of made to.
You just see there, Gnotis really losing out after that GTP came through. He left him heaps of room, but what it did, it just allowed Dawson just to build that gap just a little bit. So he'll be hoping though to come up onto the back of him again. Here we got Hodgkinson versus Kylie. We saw Kylie lose out early on up at turn 2. He's hoping to come back and get up towards the top end of town. Hodgkinson though, he's up 8 spots in this race. And then Kylie is only down 1. So he actually hasn't lost too much from where he started. But Hodgkinson is on a run here trying to get up towards the front of the field.
He's been a handy competitor throughout the whole season as Cal. Good bloke too, I might add. And he's probably another one that just lacks a little bit of luck. There's a win or lose situation and you need luck. He's usually on the other end of it, but he receives it well and he continues on.
So just to mention as well, a couple of drivers are actually out of this race now. Steve Singovich, Chris Miller, these guys have been in the pits ever since early on, as well as Jack Pickett. He's only on his 8th lap. He hasn't been out on track, I don't believe. So those guys are now out of proceedings. I believe they may have actually dropped out, which might be the reasoning. But Marty Mitchell's currently the last running car out there. He is a lap down though on these boys, so he'll be hoping to make some sort of a comeback. Let's see how the leader of the GTPs is doing though, Peter. I mean, Hasler, we know he's had great pace. He's got a big lead at the moment back to Edwards. 5.9 seconds. He is absolutely flying around this place.
Yeah, there's no competition really, is it, for Hasler this race? He now just encroaches into the 6 second lead. It's going to take something pretty dramatic to happen to for him to fall into the cusp of this man here, Jake Edwards. He's going to be on the podium again by the looks of this. Michael Whiting's just entered pits. Not too sure whether that car's just been a handful. I think he was involved in an incident earlier on. He's been in and out of the pits, Hamish. Not too sure if that's the back end of his strategy, but Hasler, Edwards, Shepherd, it's your top 3 in your GTPs at the moment. Spread out a little bit though.
Yeah, well, this currently, I believe, is Whiting's first stop. The lady's also coming for his first stop. So if these guys are pitting now, it means we're only going to get a 1-stop race here tonight. So that strategy really is not as big as an effect as what it would be if it was a 2-stop race. So being that it's only going to be a 1-stop now, it's going to be interesting to see where these top 4 land once they come out of pits as well. If I just quickly have a look here at how long they're being in the pits. So Whiting was a 49-second pit lane travel time. So that means that anyone who is within 49 seconds of him on track is kind of up for debate whether they're actually going to stay where they are when they come into pits. Hasler has a good run at the moment. He's about a minute ahead of where Whiting is, so he should come out in P1 still, depending on if the people behind him come into the pits. So that's kind of what we're looking at the moment as the regular run. Crummy's in the pits. He's been in there for about a minute and a half, so he's obviously got some damage. So he's just trying to probably fix that car, hopefully get back on track, as well as, and then we still got Greg Barber out on track as well. He was in pits for quite a long time after that early incident too. So it's pretty open at the moment, Peter, in terms of that strategy and where people might line up after this pit stop period.
And I think we'll get probably a better idea in probably, say, 5 or 6 laps. You could probably much set in stone who's going to be battling who for the end stages of this race. But as it stands, although this will change, Hasler, Edwards, Shepherd, Simpson, Whiting's your 5 in your GTP, and Faulkner, Shota, Dawson, Gnotis and Hodgkinson's your top 5. But just you rightly pointed out, that definitely will change.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what the plan is now for these top 5 in the GT3. We know Kylie's got pace. We know Hodgkinson's actually shown some pace here tonight. Faulkner, though, leading the way up 18 positions now in that in the race. He is on a massive move. He still needs to pit, but it'll be interesting to see where this ends up. It's going to be interesting as well as if we get another safety car, Peter, because if we get one, that's really going to bunch all these guys back up. And it's going to be open game for anyone. You know, it's going to be free real estate for whatever positions they can possibly get, depending on who actually has had the incident in the, to cause the safety cars. Kylie runs wide, letting that GTP pass there, so he's now going to lose out to Christensen as well in that Vermilion Porsche. So, yeah, we could be really opened up for safety car, although we've only got 10 minutes of possible safety car time left in this race before the safety car cutoff happens at 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 split whether I want to see one or not. It's starting to play out a little bit, and I think having that safety car right at the start, it probably sort of... I think some of these drivers still might be a little bit tight to get home. The ones that are pit, early, I think... No, maybe not. I think I just pulled that out of where.
I think, it's just been pointed out to us. I appreciate you pointing it out to us, Notorious Stig. Christensen, I think, was actually in GTPs at one point. He's actually been put into the GTP tower when he's supposed to be in GT3s. We'll get that sorted before next week so that is fixed, just because it saves us stuffing around with it here tonight. We'll try and get that fixed as soon as possible, of course. So I'm not sure why that's happened. He's either formerly been in a GTP or he's been put in the wrong class by mistake. So we'll hopefully get that fixed.
Thought it was, but that's odd. But yeah, we'll make sure he's in there next week.
Yeah, we'll make sure that gets done, because just to give the viewers a little bit of inside baseball. If we do it now, it can actually really stuff up the systems that we have going. So it's going to be better for us to do it while we're not on air, because that way we don't have to try and reload a heap of things. So just take it with a grain of salt this week that he's in that GTP standings. But we'll give you all the information on where he is in that GT3 field anyway. So, but yeah.
Shane Newens is in the lane now.
Sean Benici coming in. Shane Newens as well in. I believe he's just come... Has he just come out of pits? Because he was in, and then he's suddenly not in. So I think he may have actually come back out on track. Hasler's in as well, the leader. Yeah, he is. He's now back out. So Hasler's now in, so he's the first one of the top 4 to jump in. He should be far enough ahead of Whiting to come out ahead of him here. Edwards has stayed out. And I believe Shepherd, where is he on track? So we got Whiting coming around through here. Shepherd's also stayed out. So I think Hasler's actually going to have fairly enough time to get out ahead of Whiting now. And he should remain in provisional P1.
Yeah, well, he had that 6-second lead. I didn't catch up. Yeah, so he's in front of Whiting. Jake Edwards and Shepherd, though, when are they going to pit? Their lead says they don't have enough lead to maintain their position, but I would probably say when they come out, they're probably going to be more so around about that 5th spot, because Grotch, I think, has pit.
He has. He pit lap 11. So he's currently 57 seconds behind Edwards. Now, the lane travel's been about 43 to 48 seconds. Hasler's was only 43, so I'd say Grotch probably isn't close enough. Simpson could be close enough though, but he needs to pit still, so it's really Whiting's game now whether he's going to be P2 or P3 after this next pit stop, as Faulkner and Dawson have also both come in for the GT3 field, as they're now starting to come back out onto track. So it's starting to come into play, Peter, and you were right, mate. It was about 5 minutes until we started to see these boys come in, and well, we could be in for some feisty action towards the end of this race, depending on where people come out.
Yeah, I'll just swap back to the GT3s. Shotter, he's still got his big lead. There's Ganotis behind him. Kel, he's in a pretty good battle there, although it looks pretty slow. I've been thinking that safety car, but I'm not too sure. From them far shots, it looks slow. But no, definitely not going slow, because he's got Christensen all over the back of him in that Vermilion Porsche. Up 13 positions too for Christensen, so he's pushing forward.
These boys up a heap of spots. Hodgkinson up 10, and as you mentioned, Christensen up 13. These boys are fighting hard right now. Christensen came into the pits lap 1, so he was involved in that early incident. So I'd say he would need to pit again if he wants to get home. Gnotis and Schotter have come in though out of P1 and 2 for the GT3s. So guys are starting to roll as Hodgkinson, Christensen and Kylie all come in. I expect Frame to follow them. He's about 6.5 seconds back. He does. So Faulkner's going to come round and he should remain the leader of this race. Final corner for him. And he is well and truly going to be in the lead of this race. He's got about 8 seconds back to Dawson. He should come round back in P2, I would say. And, well, Faulkner's pretty much got 10 minutes left of required clean driving, and he will claim victory here tonight for that GT3 class. Schotter cops out, though, ahead of Dawson. So Dawson has lost out there to Schotter, who now comes out P2 for those GT3s, Peter.
Yeah, I was just grabbed there. Pit lane transit times. Schotter 42.7. Dawson 25.6. So that was a very short stop for Dawson. 19.5 for Braden O'Loughlin. So a few of the guys going really short there. Maybe they've just got their calculations done better.
Exactly. Jesse's asking us what happened to Scott in the GTP. He came in the pits, Jesse. So he came in the pits. So Edwards still needs to pit, and then Scott should actually have the lead of this race back, based on our calculations for the lane travel times as Edwards comes in. So this is going to be the telltale sign now, Peter, on how far ahead Hasler's actually going to be. He's 20 seconds ahead of Michael Whiting in P3 at the moment, and it's questionable whether Whiting is actually provisional P2 or P3 right now.
It's going to be good, and only time will tell when. So he's gone to 3. There's Whiting. So Simpson and Delaney just popped out of the lane as well. Scott Hasler, yeah, he'll take the position back. Michael Whiting also.
Edwards is coming out now. Edwards is coming out now, and Whiting's only coming out of the final corner.
Oh, there they are there. Yeah, my bad.
So Edwards remains P2, Hasler P1, and Whiting on the podium. So this could be a tasty final 10 minutes. Grotch, though, Shepherd's come in. So he's actually going to lose out now on Brendan Grotch, who comes out of final call and nearly loses it on the exit. That was a great save.
That was almost gone too. Adam Simpson's come down the lane. So I think most of the stops you would say are pretty much done in GTP. GT3, I wouldn't say they'll need a stop again. But Ben Faulkner is really pulling away again. 6.1 seconds to lead.
Yeah, and he's just been a class above this last half of this race. Once he managed to get through the traffic and he's had some open air, he's just absolutely been able to open up the jets and push that car on forward. Schotter, 6.2 seconds as we mentioned in behind. He really needs to be lapping about 1.5 seconds faster than Faulkner now to put a pressure on him towards the end of this race. Or just hope and pray that Faulkner gets into an incident. But if he doesn't, then it's Faulkner's race to lose at this stage.
Closest GT3s that I can see at the moment is Dawson and Gnotis. They may not find each other, but yeah, Faulkner, same as Hasler. I think there's something dramatic has to happen for them to throw this away. It's been a great drive from them, and through one that they've really needed to keep their eyes on and stay out of mischief, and they've done that. So thoroughly deserved for them. Although we've still got 1 minute 40 seconds left to go.
Oh, mate, we got a little bit longer than that. We got
45. Sorry, minutes. So 45, not 40.
We got about 6 minutes left, 6.5 minutes left. Simpsons come in as well as Ferguson and Nguyen, so they'll do their scheduled stops. This means that Delaney will now get up into P6 here tonight, although he's not quite close enough to Shepherd to challenge for that top 5. So these boys now, they just want to try and, and it's hard to do when the track starts to get dark and you've been racing kind of in twilight the majority of the time. Now is the time just to kind of ease in and just take your time. You don't want to push too hard in case you make a mistake in the dark here. Just really want to hit your marks, and that is what is most important in that crossover period between being in daytime and nighttime or nighttime to daytime. So that's what's going to be important now, is just hitting those marks and just driving as consistently as possible over these last 6 or 5 or so minutes.
Yeah, and not making a mistake. It's the hardest thing. And also, I think the GTPs, all of them, you might as well say, are lapping around by themselves. Easy to get a little bit complacent as well, just to further to your point, Hamish. You've got to be careful not to get complacent, because it'd be pretty easy just to go and just be a little bit lax on the brake one corner and go deep and just throw away your all your hard work. I've always asked drivers, like especially in 1000s and stuff, if you could choose where you're going to bin it, would it be at the start or the end? And they said, well, the end, because you want to have the chance to put yourself there. But I always thought that was a funny answer. I thought if you could choose, you'd get it done first and not have to. I call this waste your time for 45 minutes or 44 and then lose it.
Sometimes it is better. It depends on the length of the race, Peter. So for the Daytona 24-hour, if you're going to have a crash in the race, it's best to have it lap 1, because then you've got 23 hours and 50 so minutes to make the places back. When it's 1,000, it's only 6 hours. So if you actually crash very early on, it is pretty difficult to get your way back up the front, because it's easier for the leader to drive clean for 6 hours than it would be for them to drive clean for 24 hours. So it's a tough one. The 12-hour, it's a bit easier to make your places back when you crash lap 1 compared to the 1,000, because you've got twice as much time. But I mean, personally for me, if it's a longer race, I prefer to have my incident lap 1 or 2. Gives me more time to come back. If it's a shorter one, obviously I prefer not to crash at all. But if it's 1,000, it's kind of better to really lose it either midway or towards the end of the race, because at least you've had a proper crack.
Yeah, well, that puts a good emphasis to it. I'll probably change my way of thinking. And a couple of lap traffic now showing in the GTP, so I thought that was a battle on track. I'm wondering why my timing wasn't showing there close, but they're out of sequence.
Okay, so this is Whiting, you're behind Dodds. He's got one of the GTP, he's got one of the caddies behind him. I think it might be Newlands. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong.
And is?
No, it wasn't Newlands. It wasn't. No, because that's Ferguson. I think it might have been Chris Tomlin. Quite possibly, because these guys have already been lapped. It was. I don't even know at this point.
Easy
Pretty
one.
hard to tell in the dark, I must say.
It is. There's Michael Whiting, and then there's Chris. Oh, I don't know.
Maybe
anyway, we'll leave that alone.
Who knows? But not long now. Only got just under 2.5 minutes to go in this race. Where's Hazlitt at the moment? Because we need to be able to determine whether he's actually going to get an extra lap or not. So he's coming round. Oh, he's going to cross the line with 2 minutes to go. I reckon we're going to get about 2 more laps out of this race, Peter. Because he's doing 1:17s. He's going to cross the line probably at about 43 minutes out of the race done. So say we're going to get about 2 more laps of green racing here for that leader.
Yeah, 42, so he's going to click over 43, and I think the other night we watched the, with 2 seconds to go, give him another lap, so that could be possible, possibly 3 laps, but this is a bit of a bigger track than where we'll race and where that happened, but still possible. It'll go checkers if you're on a lap when the time runs out, if I'm correct, and if you once you cross the line.
So it will go green. It will go checkers for you if you're behind the leader so if they've started their last lap, and it's gone past 45. If you're a lap down, then I believe it goes checkers for you. If you're on the same lap as them, I believe then you can actually continue. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
Time will tell. Time will tell.
I know 100% that if you're lapped and the leader's on their last lap, but you may not be. So it's a bit hard when it's a timed event. When it's a lapped event and timed, if they're on their last lap and they cross the line and say you're 2 laps down, well, if they've crossed the line, your race is over when you cross the line. little bit harder on a timed event. So it really just depends where that leader is in comparison to you.
There's the leader now.
Here,
10.1 seconds.
So this is going to be the final lap of the race, I reckon, because we've clicked over about 44.20. So this should be the final lap of the race, I would say. And it is. So race controller confirmed. Final lap of the race here for Hasler and for everyone else. So we're just about right on 2 laps there.
It's Michael Whiting. So 1, 2, 3. Hasler, Edwards, Whiting. I don't think that'll change. GT3s, Shotter, Faulkner, and Dawson.
Where's Hasler at the moment? Just quickly, because he'll be coming up on the line soon. Yeah, he's coming up towards the middle section now, so this is the final lap. Hasler leads the way for the GTPs. It's just been a dominant performance for him, Pete. I mean, 10 seconds up back to P2. What can you say other than pure dominance?
Oh, just pure class. He just shows he's a class above everyone else, and the rest of the drivers, I wish they were probably a little bit closer to him so they could watch his lines and see and learn from him. But he is even too far to be even a case study. So just pure class. He flashes the lights and great dominant win for Hasler as Edwards crosses the line in P2. Well deserving for him and Michael Whiting for your P3, mate. So yeah, them 3 guys thoroughly deserve their places.
Yeah, mate. I mean, I think all 3 of them worked hard tonight. Grotch was a little bit unlucky off that start to really lose that car turn 1 after that restart. If he hadn't lost it, I think he probably would have been in the fight for the win. But regardless, though, very impressive top 3 for those boys. Top 3 for the GT3s as well. Ben Faulkner, Aaron Schroeder and Alan Dawson. So very impressive night for those podiums. I don't think Christensen and Ganotis should feel disheartened, though. They had a very good performance and they fought hard. Same for Callan Hodgkinson. 7 spots up from where he started the race. Finishes P6 in the class. P18 overall. That's a very impressive effort from him, being that he started from the back of the field and he was in the fight for a podium at one point.
Yeah, Cal, he had a real good run, and he had a bit of a mishap, but then he pushed through, and that's his sort of character, his personality is the never die, never give up attitude, and he just proved it. Look at that, he had a bit of a mishap and up 7 positions. If he didn't have that mishap, he probably would have been very highly likely would have been higher up than where we've seen him finish.
Tell you what, though, what an outing from Faulkner. He did very, very well here tonight in that Porsche. And I think he did well at a track that maybe more suited the Fez. But, I mean, to do that, what's very interesting to me is, Peter, Greg Barber and Harry Dodds, P23 overall and 24 overall. Those 2 are in the fight for the championship, and they have finished outside the top 10 in class.
Well, that's going to have implications. That's definitely going to drop them down the standings. So I don't think with the class, especially, it's probably a little bit closer here in the GT3s on the standings, championship standings, where you can't afford to have many off weeks, if any. So them 2 probably positive out of a negative that these 2 both had shockers. So it doesn't have implications that much for their challenge. You know what I mean? Fight between themselves.
Going forward. Yeah, yeah. It's not going to have much. It's just going to bring other people in to that fight, and it's going to be interesting to see next week out at Daytona. These boys should have a lot of history and a lot of experience around there. There's multiple races that happen throughout the year at Daytona, not just to mention the Raw for the 24 and also the Daytona 24-hour. Plus, that's coming up in January. So some of these boys might already be practicing for that event. And, I think next week's going to be an absolute ripper out at that track, being that it is almost the American home of sports car racing. I would say it's even more spectacular than what Sebring brought us earlier in the season.
And Sebring, the exact same thing is the familiarness with the drivers. They've done literally thousands of laps around there. You could probably second that note, Hamish, because Daytona, surely we can get a clean race next round, because 24-hour race, you don't get safety cars. So these guys have done thousands of laps. Looking forward to Daytona, that's for sure, next week.
Got the RC controller Tyson McAvoy in here. Tyson, how you going, mate?
Good, mate. Just wanted to give you a heads up that Kone 7 does not have a microphone and won't be joining the broadcast for the interview tonight.
Right, so Jake Edwards.
Yes.
No worries. Thanks, mate. Thanks for letting us
Thanks,
know.
boys. Good call again.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, we got Faulkner and Hasler in the green room. Still waiting on our other GT3 drivers and Michael White to come and have a chat to us. I think, after what the Fishy Boys went through last Sunday, I think Michael might be pretty happy with that to get a podium, at least in one of his races this week.
Oh yeah, Eddie was a good bloke, and he means a lot to everyone. And yeah, he just wants to chalk up results and push forward. And well, wherever Ed is now, hopefully he's watching down and still giving them a little bit of luck, probably a little bit more next week they'll be hoping for. But yeah, all them wins that those boys and everyone chalks up, I suppose, will be for the hashtag Racing for Eddie.
We'll quickly run through the results now of tonight's race, and then we'll get into some podium interviews. So GTP field here tonight, Scott Hasler took out the win for Frog Leap Juice Racing, not far ahead of Jake Edwards. Michael Whiting then finished out of P3 ahead of Brendan Grotch out of P4. Dylan Shepherd would come home out of P5, the only Porsche out there for the GTP field. Ty Delaney would come home out of P6 ahead of Chris Tomlin in P7, with Adam Simpson coming home out of P8 ahead of Matt Gerard out of P9. Jordan Ferguson will then make up the top 10 for Velocity Racing Team ahead of Shane Newens out of P11, with Luke Crum coming home out of P12. A couple of boys didn't make the end, including Chris Miller. Keegan Corbell, Cam Harbour, Gash Davis did not make the start of this race. And if we get over to the GT3s, Peter, we can run through them as well. So the GT3 field, of course, Jamie Christensen's not on this list. He was classed incorrectly here tonight, so we'll get that fixed before next week. But Benny Faulkner takes out the victory here tonight for the GT3s ahead of Aaron Schroeder out of P2. Alan Dawson out of P3. Jamie Christensen in P4. Alexander Ganotis will finish out of P5. Callum Hodgson finishes P6 ahead of Patrick Frame in P7. John O'Kiley then comes home out of P8. Sean Benici out of P9. Braden O'Loughlin makes up the top 10 ahead of Greg Barber, Harry Dodds, Marty Mitchell, and then Jack Pickett. Stephen Singovich did not finish the race here tonight. Who have we got in the green room? I'm not sure. I believe Thin Hurdle would be possibly Dawson, if I'm not mistaken, Peter. Not 100% sure, though.
Me neither. So it'll be a guessing game.
Well, we'll drag them all in and we'll find out.
Yeah, let's do it. Bulk interviews.
We know we love the bulk interviews, so we got who we believe is Alan Dawson in here with us, as well as Ben Faulkner and Aaron Schroeder. Alan, if you're there, mate, we'll start with you. How'd that run go for you, mate, out of P3? I don't know if he's there. Oh, well, we'll go to Aaron for P2. Aaron, there was a good run for you out there tonight. Corsa Rosso Racing, of course. P2 in your Fez, that's a good run from you, but once Ben got past, you had nothing for him in the end.
Yeah, I was just focusing on not having a bad race. The last few races have been terrible. So I didn't want to fight anyone. I just wanted to have a nice, clean race. So as soon as he got to the back of me, I was like, please pass me straight away so I can follow him.
Well, I mean, you had a pretty good run for the majority of that thing. You're able to keep it clean. And then, you worked hard to kind of just keep that car clean, keep it consistent. And, I mean, to come home P2, that's got to be a good feeling here tonight, especially for some championship hopes as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a bit of a bad run of late. But, yeah, no, it was a good race, though. It was from the GT3s anyway.
Yeah, it looks pretty close out there, Aaron. It's Pete here, mate. Talk us through the little bit of the race start was a little bit chaotic. How did you get through, mate? And how did you navigate through?
Well, on the restart from the safety car, we were single file through turn 2 with all the crashed cars. But the racing start instant, I was just behind me, so I saw my rear vision mirror, everyone's headlights flying around. So I was like, "Oh, there's going to be a safety car now."
I suppose it was probably a good thing it was an afternoon race, just so the heads up you've got given from the headlights, mate. But yeah, definitely it looked hard out there for the GT3s. The battling, are you finding with the GT3s? It's been like that all season, where the clumps of battles, and they seem to go on and on and on. Like you and Dawson had a rip snorter there, and well, just not quick enough to get up to Faulkner. But how are you seeing your class battles, mate? Because it looks pretty good from where we're looking.
Yeah, no, they're really good. They're really good. Just need to find a little bit more pace. Of struggling a little bit. I think I need to do a bit of a sim upgrade. That's the excuse I'm going to use anyway. And but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, awesome,
Just,
Hamish.
Yeah, I've figured out the fix for Alan. He actually wasn't able to talk to us, but Aaron, you did really well tonight, mate. Let us know who's giving you the support out there out at Corsa Rosso, and anyone you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, just the team and our sponsors, Brazart Haircuts and La Rocca, and as well as Alex and Patrick for the help with the setup.
Very good, mate. Well, congratulations once again on a very impressive P2 finish. Good luck next week out at Daytona.
Cheers, thank you.
Pace out there tonight in that Porsche. Obviously you said it was a last minute thing. What was kind of your thought process leading into the race pretty much up before we went green? Was it kind of just take your time, get up to speed and have a bit of a feel for it, or were you ready to have a crack pretty much as soon as the green light went on?
I'm always one to be a bit aggressive with my starts and get as many places as possible. Majority of the time it's clean. I have my moments, but yeah, I was looking forward to it. I just have some fun. I didn't have anything else on today, so I was just thinking about enjoying myself, keeping it clean with everyone, having a good battle. Unfortunately, Jamie had some problems or dramas just through the race with the lap 1 incident and a couple of other things, but yeah, it's good fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Ben, it's Pete here, mate. Yeah, talk us through your sort of the mental levels when you're out there by yourself. I think at one stage before you came in, you had about a 6-second lead. Did you find yourself getting a little bit complacent because you had steady air around you, or I suppose them GTP drivers zooming past you at breakneck speed kept you honest?
Yeah, the only thing I was looking out for was the GDPs, because a few of them dive on me for about 300 meters back, which is a bit of a pain, even though they're like P8 in their class. But it's multi-class, so you get it sometimes. And it was night time, so it was a bit harder to know when they're coming. But yeah, I was just trying to keep it consistent. This track's pretty harsh on off tracks, so I was just trying to keep it clean. Yeah, I was pretty much doing lap times about the same every lap until GDPs overtook me. So it was, yeah, I enjoyed it coming to night time though. It was good.
It was great, mate. Up a ton of positions from where you started, mate, and pretty comprehensive win, wasn't it, Hamish?
Yeah, mate, 17 spots gained throughout this race. So, really left your mark on the series here tonight. Are you hoping to come back next week for Daytona?
If I'm available, 100% turn up. I don't have anything on Fridays anymore because last week I did finish. So if Jamie's doing it and he wants me to jump in again and I'm free, then I'll 100% jump in.
Very good, mate. Well, let us know who's giving you the support out there. Let us know of any sponsors Vermilion Motorsports has got, and anyone you want to give a shout out to as well, mate.
So yeah, just all the boys at Vermilion. We've started this year, and it's grown massively. Massive thank you to the Berlin Metal Group, Dr. Epoxy, Race Sub Overlays, RSW Graphics, Supernova Motorsports, Moser Racing, our new one, Hamish Setups, and the Wise Pies boys as well.
Very good, mate. Well, congratulations on the win here tonight. Hopefully we can see you next week out at Daytona, and if we do, best of luck.
100%. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Well, Peter, great to speak to the GT3 podium there. Should we get the GTP boys in here as well?
100%. Yeah, there wasn't much battling going on at the end of the race, but I tell you, it would have been hard work for them anyway. And yeah, well, we got Scotty and and Michael in there. There'll be two boys that'll be pretty pumped.
Let's grab them in. We'll bring in Michael Whiting and we'll bring in Scott Hasler. Michael, we'll start with you, mate. Well, what a week of highs and lows it's been for you and your team, but a P3 here tonight, that's got to feel pretty good after what you've gone through this week.
Yeah, mate, it's has been a bit of an up and down week with passing our good friend Eddie. I mean, you know, we come out here and have a bit of fun and try and stick it up the field as far as we can, and you know, all the boys are sort of watching and getting around it, and you know, everyone's sort of got around Eddie as well, which is awesome to see. So, you know, it's good fun tonight.
So, man, how'd you go tackling this circuit here tonight, getting prepared for it in this car? You know, obviously you're out there in the caddy. It's got some great straight line speed. Was this always going to be the plan leading up to this race, or did you test out multiple variants of the prototype?
No, to be honest with you, I hadn't done any practice till the practice tonight. So I actually jumped in, and a couple of the other guys were in the Acura, and myself and Chris were in the caddy. I thought, oh geez, I hope I make the right decision here. So went through a couple of setups and found one that sort of worked, and just practiced a bit of race runs, and then towards the end threw on a quali set and sort of put it P2. So I thought, oh, there or thereabouts. So we'll see what happens.
Michael, it's Pete here. I'm jealous when people say, hey mate, I'm jealous when people say, oh, I didn't practice at all, because I practice when I'm leading into a race, which is barely ever these days. But and then I think, oh yeah, I'm good, and then put the competitors around me and I go to water. So jealous, but definitely skill level is way up there, mate. So definitely P3 in class tonight was good for you. And tyres, fuel, they were pretty much good. Been having that safety car early on.
Yeah, helps if you don't miss your pit box though. That sort of hurt me. I was sort of chasing down P2, but that sort of cancelled that out. So, I mean, you know, the practice this week sort of paid off okay, but like last week I was around facing backwards after turn one. So, you know, it's up and down, swings roundabouts. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Oh well, we'll hopefully be talking to you again next week. If Hamish has nothing more to add, mate, who gets you here, Michael? There's a long list, I know.
Mate, big shout out to obviously the big fella Eddie and his family. Thoughts go out to those guys. I know they're hurting at the moment. Obviously all the boys at Fishy and everyone who's supported Eddie and boys at Fishy with what's been going on this week. Massive shout out to them. Obviously our sponsors, West End Motor Group, DC Shades, Battery Warehouse, Early Beach, Precision Sim Training, Infinity Designs, and obviously you guys and all the admin that put this show on day in, day out. So thanks, guys.
Very good, mate. Well, thanks for coming and have a chat to us here tonight. Massive congratulations to you on your P3, and best of luck next week out at Daytona.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. Well, Scott Hasler, another race, another win for you. It was ultra dominant out there tonight for you on track, but how'd you go out there? We saw Brandon have an early incident turn one after the restart, and you were kind of just eyes forward, push on, and it paid off for you to get the win.
Yeah, that's it. It was a shame Brandon had his moment there. I think in practice we'd been very similar pace. He might have even been a little bit quicker. Yeah, it was a shame that happened to him. But yeah, otherwise it was just getting a good start on lap one and managed to get a little bit of a gap to Jake, and that was then enough to start building. Like I was only sort of pulling out a tenth or two each lap, I think, but the fact that he wasn't in my slipstream really helped. So it was, yeah, just a little bit of luck there, and then we were able to kind of settle down and put my head down.
How'd you go coming through that GT3 traffic? I mean, obviously this track's not really well known for multi-class sports car racing, although people do come here and race GT3 cars, but how was it? I mean, it's only a short lap, a minute 17. You were catching those GT3 boys at the start pretty much within the first 10 minutes after that restart period. How was it trying to get through that field and just kind of maintaining the gap in behind?
Yeah, it gets a little bit definitely got a little bit wild that first pass, particularly getting towards the front guys. Like I think the top three were all fighting as we came through into the last couple of corners. But otherwise, it wasn't too bad. I've got a couple teammates in the field as well, so that helps where you can actually talk to the guy you're passing. Yeah, like I've done an Imsa earlier this week, and that was absolute bonkers compared to tonight. Yeah, as far as Red Bull Ring multi-class goes, it actually wasn't too bad.
And Scott, it's Pete here, mate. You just touched on it briefly, but I'll just get you to elaborate just a little bit more. You said when you were coming up to like the GT3s and they were battling for, first, second, third, so their race was on. As a GTP driver, what sort of discipline and how do you sort of attack it? I know tonight you had a bit of space between you, or behind you rather, but how do you sort of attack them moments? Obviously, you don't want to just send it. You're that much quicker than them. You don't want to send it and just go past them and just continue on because they got a battle on. How do you think it? Or how do you tackle it, I mean?
Yeah, like there's a bit of respect that goes both ways there. You obviously don't want to mess up their battle too much. It's hard not to play a factor in some way because you've obviously you got to get in the way at some point unless you can get them on the straight. It's just about picking your moment. Sometimes it's just go a bit slower in and get the better exit. Managed to make it all work tonight. Hopefully didn't annoy too many people and get the clean.
Nah, looked pretty classy on our end, didn't it, Hamish? It looked a bit touch and go there for a little bit. They were all fighting, but you could clearly see that Scott knew they were battling and he picked his moment. But it was good to see and great win, mate.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, mate. Well, let us know who's given you and Frog Leap Juice Racing the support out there. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? You more than earned it coming home P1 overall and in class as well tonight.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. Just firstly, obviously, as you touched on, all thinking of Eddie. I didn't know him personally, but a lot of the guys in our team did, and he's definitely, him and his family have definitely been on our minds this week. And then just a big thank you to Juiced Energy, Simrigs.com, Racecraft, Hyperion Systems, Soodspeed Gloves, and the Pet Dog Company.
Very good, mate. Well, thanks for coming and have a chat to us here tonight. Massive congratulations on your P1 once again, and best of luck next week out at Daytona.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate. Well, Peter, it was a massive night of racing here tonight out at Red Bull Ring, one of my favourite circuits, not just on iRacing, but in the world. It's almost, I don't want to say it's I don't know. It's hard to come to words with how I feel about this circuit. Holds a really special place in my heart, and being able to see some multi-class action around here was really, really nice to see.
Yeah, it was good to see. I brought up at the top of the broadcast. It was good to see the cars hitting the curbs. That shows how much that I pay attention to multi-class racing, because they hit the curbs, but nowhere near as much as supercars and that, and they don't pop it up on two wheels. So, I got that wrong at the top of the broadcast, but it was definitely good to see. It was a little bit scrappy at times and spaced out, but I tell you, them GT3 boys, they know how to fill the space nicely with them battles, because it didn't matter with them. They were battling throughout. It was great to see. It was a great night.
Well, I mean, I guess just off the back of that will bring an end to our broadcast here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a massive night of racing out here at Red Bull Ring. We've got a massive week of racing coming up, including the Simrig Supercars Pro-Am on Sunday night, the Simrig Supercars Amateur Series on Tuesday, Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals on Wednesday, Shannon's GR8 6 Nationals on Thursday, and then we're back here again next week for the Warren & Brown Tools Imsa Shadow Series, being hosted out at Daytona International Speedway, being the Roval layout, the layout that is used for the Daytona 24 hours. So it's going to be a massive night of racing. It's a track that is well known for sports car and prototype racing. It's going to be phenomenal to watch, going to be phenomenal to see, and I look forward to seeing these guys have a crack at a prototype heavy circuit in Daytona.
Yeah, it's going to be great, mate. It's going to be great.
Well, until then, though, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Warren & Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series, brought to you by SRW TV. We thank you for your time. We thank you for watching. I've been Hamish Munro, joined with me by Peter Gretton. We thank all of our race controllers, all of our drivers, all of our supporters. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're only like 30 odd people away from being able to give away a racing rig. I can see Peter scrambling to get it up on there, but be sure to get into it. Be sure to have a go at it. It's going to someone once we hit 1,000 subscribers. The only thing is you must be subscribed when we do the draw. But until then, and until next week, from Hamish, Munro, and Peter, appreciate your time, appreciate your viewing. Thank you for being here with us. We'll see you out for next round at a Daytona. But until then, bye for now.